we get started. Once I can hear that the sound is all good, then we get started, guys. Otherwise, welcome, welcome, welcome. What's good there, guys? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, 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 welcome there. Welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to the stream. So we're obviously going to be getting a young conversation there. It's just a small conversation just before we got started. Let me just exit here because I was just watching to make sure that the stream is okay. And seems like everything is good, so I can just exit here on my phone. Otherwise, guys, let me see you guys there in the chats. Let's see who's in the building. But nonetheless, guys, let's have a young conversation just before we get started with the analysis. So basically, what is the point of us actually doing our analysis? Like, why are we doing analysis? So the point of us basically doing our analysis and then getting into the forecast as well. The main point is so that we can prepare, obviously. But what is the point of us doing analysis? So analysis is basically for two reasons. Number one, we want to find out what kind of an environment we're trading in. So we want to kind of get an idea of what is this environment that we're trading in, and we kind of want to prepare and we kind of want to make a plan to be able to trade that environment. So now getting into things is, number one, like we did say, that we want to see what the environment is so that we can be able to trade this environment. Number two, we need to be able to make a decision on whether we're going to buy, whether we're going to sell, or whether we're going to do nothing at all. So to get to these two reasons, doesn't really matter what concepts you guys use to analyze or whatever to make sense of this information, but nonetheless, in the analysis, I'm obviously going to be exposing my own process, going through my own process, and then we're obviously going to get to those decisions, the decision making. We obviously want to see, number one, which direction are we looking to trade, and then number two, we want to know where can we find opportunities to trade in those directions. So obviously, to find those two pieces of information, we need to, number one, like we said, understand the environment that we're trading in, and then we need to understand what type of a decision does this environment warrant from us. Can we trade immediately in this decision? Do we need to, can we trade immediately in this environment, or do we need to wait for market or price to maybe move away from this environment, or maybe enter into a different phase, or whatever the case is, for us to be able to make a profitable decision? So nonetheless, guys, let's get started with our analysis. Let's get started there. I see you guys there in the building. Let me see who's there. I see Shakira Edmonds there in the building saying thank you, T. Appreciated there, Shakira. I see Mr. Mac is in the building. What's good there? Show me. Mac is in the building. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate seeing you there. I see Alec Bailey there in the building giving some trophies. I didn't get one trophy, but we got two trophies. Always, Alex. Alec, nice to see you there, man. I see Maxwell there also saying, hey, what's good there, Maxwell? What's good? Otherwise, guys, let's get started with our analysis. So what we'll do is we'll do this, and then we'll do this. So let's get started, guys. Let's get started. We'll be going into, obviously, the DXY first. What we want to do is we want to kind of remove all of our previous analysis because we don't care what our analysis was last week. We're not going to be functioning off last week's bias, but we'll be creating a new bias if that's what price warrants from us. So anyway, getting into stuff here on the DXY, if we just observe some higher time frame structure there, what we will be able to see is, let me just do this. I just figured out how I can wear both my headsets at the same time. All I need to do is basically just put the volume down on headsets. It was kind of annoying. I tried to take one headset off in the beginning because I was hearing my own voice through the headsets. and that was kind of annoying. But now I just realized that I can just put the volume down on the headsets themselves and won't affect the stream itself. And at least I won't be able to hear myself. So that's dope, that's dope, that's dope. What we have here on a daily, we can also go up to the weekly. We'll see basically a similar looking structure, even if we went up to a weekly. But conclusion being on a daily, yes, we are in some sort of an uptrend. So if you just have a look at our structure, the current structure that we have here, we've got extreme highs, we've got some lows, we've got new highs, we've got new higher lows, and then obviously we've got new higher highs. So to take into account this ascending structure that we've got, going to account our extreme support structures, so taking into account our support from there, obviously just the extreme lows. Also, we need to take into account our extreme highs, the current extreme highs that we have in this market. We've got one resistance over there, another resistance over here, and we can see that price is somewhere in and around this touch region. So just trying to get an idea of what kind of a structure we've got going on there and where are we within this structure. Remember, we did say that we want to be seeing what environment are we trading in. So we're at this nice current third. Now coming down just basically to this most recent price action here, what we can see about this most recent price action on a daily is just that we see price action coming to give us some new higher highs. So we create a new high. After we create this extreme resistance up here, we see price action coming down and giving us lows. Ever since we've created the extreme highs that we see here, and you can see that price action has been in some sort of a range. So safe for us to conclude that price is currently moving sideways on a lower time frame. Which we'll go down to now, but obviously just to see the structure that price is moving within, we'll highlight it there. Now we'll go down onto a 4 hour and just take into account what nature in price do we have, what do we have going on here. So obviously we already concluded that price is within some sort of a sideways moving market, so we've created some extreme resistance, extreme support, and we're moving sideways because we're creating levels of structure within that extreme high and that extreme low. So obviously because we're at the third touch region, we're at that resistance trend line. We do understand that yes, price is being corrective around, but what can we do to find probabilities in order to be able to trade some dollar weakness in this case, because we're at resistance trend line? It makes a lot more sense for us to be sellers at resistance than it does for us to be buyers. And so even dropping down onto those smaller time frames like we are on the 4 hour, we want to figure out where will those probabilities come in if we were to trade our high time frame bias, which is bearish because we're at that resistance trend line from a daily. Now coming up to the 4 hour, we can obviously see we've got extreme highs, we've got extreme lows. Anytime we're stuck inside of a range, we know that's our selling probabilities. We'll find them from the extreme highs, and obviously buying probabilities, we'll find them from the extreme lows. Look at where we are right now. We're slap bang in the center of this range, meaning that if we do trade or if we do look for opportunities in this area, obviously we'll get 50-50 probabilities. But if we at least wait for prices to come to an area where we can expect previous or other sellers to maybe want to involve themselves in this market, then at least our probabilities might shift 51-49, who knows. But otherwise, because we're at resistance, because we want to be looking for those sell buys trading opportunities, what we're going to be doing is just waiting for the dollar index to make an ascent towards these resistance areas over here. Yes, we do have a bunch of equal highs, so maybe price might have the incentive to want to break above these equal highs. But if we do break above this resistance area there, for us to be able to trade any dollar weakness going forward, what we will need to see is obviously price action breaking back below this level of resistance and then coming back for that nice corrective retest before we look for any sell bias trading opportunities. So conclusion just basically being is that we're waiting for some sort of an ascending structure or some sort of range. The closer we get to this resistance, the more we want to sell. If price action does break above this resistance, we will wait for price action to break below this resistance. We'll wait for momentum to push prices back below this resistance, and then we'll wait for continuation structures to be able to involve ourselves in any bearish momentum. So basically we want to trade that sell bias because we're at this resistance trend line. If price decides to keep buying or whatever the case is, I'm sure we've got a couple of other pairs where we can trade any dollar strength or any dollar weakness or whatever the case is, where we'll find other trading opportunities. But for now, this is the direction that I do see the probabilities in. I do see some dollar weakness probabilities for trading opportunities. So let's get into our first pair of the evening. We're gonna go into some Aussie CAD. Let's just go up to the daily, see what we got going on here on the daily. So basically, I guess I can still see the same structure that we've been seeing for the longest of time, ever since we've been together from when? From May last year. We've been talking about the structure and referencing the structure, obviously just from different perspectives and different viewpoints. But largely, my mind is going ahead of me. But otherwise, guys, let's just look at the high time frame structure here. We've got this larger time frame descending structure, obviously, that we do see there, some resistance over there, some extreme lows over here. Just take into account whatever support we've got going on there. We've got this nice descending structure. We see momentum violating the structure to the upside. We can see that price is being corrective around this level of resistance because price action broke and closed above. We then further obviously broke and time frame. What we were looking for was for sell probabilities from the high, buying probabilities from the low, since we've got an extreme high that has been created here and an extreme low that has been created here, and obviously prices lows. So coming back to things, if we just drop down, obviously now we know we want to be primarily bullish biased because we see this nice descending structure that is breaking and retesting for momentum to the upside. Another interesting thing, I know we don't go up to the high time frames often enough, guys, but maybe let's just do ourselves a favor and go up. Okay, that's not how you go to a monthly. Let's just do ourselves a favor and then go up to a monthly time frame, just so that I can show you guys maybe why I'm bullish bias at this point and why I've been bullish bias, whatever the case is. If we look at structure, basically it's the highest time frame that we can go. So cut out all the noise that's been going on there, just to look at objectively what price has been doing in general. So if we look at the previous price action, what we have here is price action from these highs. We come down, we create some lows, right? We create these equal lows, whatever the case is. We create some resistance. We then break these equal lows. We create a new lower low. We then come up, we create a lower high, sorry, my mistake happens, and then obviously we come down and we create a new lower low. Now what have we done? Ever since price action or momentum has violated these resistance areas, this is the first time price action is actually coming back to retest this resistance, obviously maybe as potential support. Now obviously we've been identifying, we always pay attention to two things. How does price get to a level of structure, which is this resistance? We also pay attention to that level of structure, which helps us make a decision. So obviously we can see price came fairly impulsively, but what did price do at this level of structure? We entered into some structure which warranted us to look for those primarily bullish bias trading setups. So obviously we know that maybe we want to be primarily bullish on this pair, higher time frame, but obviously we're going to be trading what the structure does say, and even if the structure on a lower time frame gives us a sell bias trading opportunity or whatever the case is, we're going to allow ourselves to also trade those opportunities, because price action is price action. Obviously we just be reactive to the market and not predictive to what price action might do. So coming into things here, what I do want to do is I still want to trade in the direction of the most recent momentum that I do see coming into the market. And as much as maybe we're at this resistance area over there, I can see momentum, just the most recent momentum. Let's just go up to a 4 hour just so that we can look at this properly. So if we come down to a 4 hour, let's just do this. If we come down to a 4 hour, we obviously do see, yes, there was some sell side momentum, some sell bias momentum that, yes, came in from somewhere in around this price region here, and we see bulls or buyers completely reversing all of that momentum, pushing prices to the upside. So yes, there are still buyers interested in buying this pair. Recent 4 hour momentum to the upside. We've got our previous higher lows over here in this area, where we see obviously the most recent momentum coming into this market being able to violate our previous resistance areas. So we can see that momentum came in from somewhere in and around this area here. We can see a nice big bullish engulfing candlestick over there, signifying that yes, this is where a momentum shift happens. So obviously if there are buyers involved and price action is moving lower, where do I want to buy? I want to buy where other buyers saw interest probably in the past, or whatever the case is. Chances that those buyers are maybe there in the market, or whatever the case is, if they are there and they are looking at price action, chances that they'll see value again at this price region are slightly higher than chances that they won't, maybe if things don't change, if the condition doesn't change. So this is a point of interest for me where I want to look for those bullish continuation trades. Let me just see what's cooking over here. I thought my network is giving me some issues, but it's not. Cool. Because I don't want to be in the stream and talk for half an hour and you guys are not there are not there with me. But otherwise, let's continue. So coming into Aussie CAD, yes, we do see this most recent momentum pushing prices to the upside, but obviously we can see that price action after this momentum entered some sort of a corrective structure. If I was to argue with anyone about which is a corrective structure and which is the impulsive phase in this market, I would obviously just use my measurement tool and measure how long the price action takes, and 4 hours, and that happened over 19 bars. How long is it taking price action to come from these same extreme highs over here down to this same price region where we started? Obviously we said it took 3 days and 4 hours. Now to look at how long price is taking to actually make the descent, price action is obviously somewhere over here. So let's just take into account this last candlestick over there. It's already taken 7 days and 12 Swiss franc. Let me just double check on the stream over there just to make sure that we're all still 100% okay. Let me also just catch up there on the chats there on the text. What are you guys saying as we're going through? I see Kaho saying there, help me with entries. I'm still struggling with them. So for entries, I'd either suggest that you definitely just DM me on Instagram, and I will give you a link where you can book a one-on-one session with me. And then yeah, we can obviously do that, because I don't think during the session there will be enough time for us to go through the whole process of entries. But I can definitely help you with a nice process of entries. I guess any process, it doesn't really matter what it is. Like if you're struggling with analysis, like for example in your case you're struggling with the entries. If you're struggling with, I don't know, trade management or whatever, it doesn't really matter which element of your trading process or of your trading system it is. If you're struggling with something, it's literally as simple as defining the decisions that you make within that particular system that you're struggling with. Define those decisions more. For example, you want to try and cut out as much subjective decision making as possible, which means making decisions like, for example, with entries. Are you entering when you feel like you're entering? Are you entering too late and you know it's too late, but you're entering based off FOMO? That's kind of like a thing of you just don't have a plan. Or maybe you don't have the temperament to follow a plan. And if you're going to trade, you definitely do need a temperament to follow rules. That's kind of one of the defining things of a trader. A trader has to be able to have the temperament to be able to follow rules diligently. But otherwise, man, I would just say that it's just a matter of defining your processes a little bit more. If you don't know how to define those processes, then in that aspect I can definitely help you. At T_Mayne.sa, just search that on Instagram and then obviously give me a text there and I will send you a link to book a session. Alec is saying, hope you're well, having a good weekend. This is how I spend my weekend. I'm spending my weekend in the markets preparing for next week. Yes, I see Tepiso there saying, T.Mayne, what's good, Tepiso. I see Kaho saying, can you do gold for me? Okay, so we'll see about gold. So whatever's not on our watch list, we'll do if we do have some time afterwards. But otherwise, we'll just be a bit strong there. I see Mecca saying it's lagging from time to time. I hope that doesn't become an issue. Because I even put the Wi-Fi outside. I tried to make sure that we safe here. I see D Singer's in the building. What's good? D Singer, nice to have you there. Otherwise, guys, I see you guys are all still good. Let's continue with the stream. We'll go on to Aussie Swiss franc. Let's get into some Aussie Swiss franc. Let's go up onto the daily. Let me have something to drink. Let's go up to the daily. So on Aussie Swiss franc, let me just do this because I can see what's going on here. Okay, there we go. Nice pin coming above these equal highs there, followed by this nice big momentum candlestick to the downside. So we identified this as a nice resistance area for us to be looking for some sell bias trading opportunities. So we just marked that out with a nice horizontal ray. And then obviously when we drop down onto a smaller time frame, we identified how price action was approaching this resistance trend line over there. So if we just take a look at the support trend line that we had, just observing just the most recent structure that we had over here, we see prices inside some sort of an ascending structure. So we're ascending over there. We've obviously broken the ascending structure to the down. Coming into the 4-hour price action, just being at that resistance, seeing that nice momentum shift on a daily. I forgot to tell you the bias, because we're at resistance and we're seeing some nice momentum to the downside. I guess we saw this nice pin first of all, followed by this nice beautiful momentum candlestick on the daily. What we want to do is we just want to trade the most recent momentum, considering where we are within the structure and what could potentially be happening on a higher time frame. Want to be looking to trade the most recent momentum, which in this case we do see some momentum violating some structure, to momentum pushing prices down, violating some structure. I guess the biggest place, the biggest area where I see some momentum coming into the market would kind of be by this most recent bearish engulfing candlestick inside of there. So what I'll do for myself is I will isolate this as a nice point of interest over there, because I'm trying to look for the highest sell. Obviously, if I want to be a seller, I want to sell at wholesale prices and not retail prices. And if I want to be a buyer, I want to buy at wholesale prices and not retail prices. So anyway, we do have some sort of a point of interest up here. We do have one resistance area up there. So what does that then tell us? That we can use this resistance to obviously manage our bias, to manage our position. We look for our reversal structures. If price action obviously does pull up towards this resistance area, we can either look for that high time frame or that 4-hour double top structure, or obviously we look for our reversal structures. If price action does break above this resistance area, we look for our reversal structures above there. And then obviously if we don't find any reversal structures above here, we wait for that moment to push price action below this resistance, and then we wait for that nice corrective retest for some downside momentum. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trading my high time frame bias, understanding that price is at some sort of a resistance area, and allow myself to trade any short trading opportunities, any sell bias trading opportunities on Aussie Swiss franc. So that's the setup for Aussie Swiss franc. Let's slap on a nice purple tag over there. Let's go into our AJ. We'll also go onto a daily. So coming into AJ, I like what we are seeing now. I really honestly do like what we are seeing now on a higher time frame. If you guys remember, all of these JPY code pairs, I've kind of just been shoulder, like, you know, if they're not giving me what I want, then I'm just gonna ignore them. So I've just been ignoring these pairs. But anyway, we'll mark out this high time frame structure. That is actually to give us what we want, not trying to jump in and change our bias according to what the lower time frames are doing. Anyway, coming back to this high time frame structure, you guys can see we're in some sort of an ascending structure, and we're at that resistance trend line now, giving us a nice beautiful third touch. Now clearly we can see that price action has been fairly impulsive to this level of resistance. So because price action has been impulsive to this level of resistance, and we want to do the opposite of what we can clearly see is going on, we need to wait for that reversal structure to form in the market first before we make any sell bias trading decisions. So going on to the 4-hour, what we can see is obviously momentum to the upside. Momentum has given us some sort of a small corrective structure, and we can see that this small corrective structure has just been violated to the upside. Now what I do want to work off is my extreme resistance, which is in this area here, and my extreme support, which I can see price action just created right now, and look at that and make my decisions based off that. Now obviously if I want to look for a reversal structure or some sort of bearish momentum, downside momentum, whatever the case is, where do I need to be looking for that? I need to be looking for that at some sort of a resistance. Do I have a resistance now? Yes, I do have a resistance. So this is the safest area for me to look to trade any sell bias trading opportunities. I want to be trading at resistance because I want to sell, and I do see some buyers involved in this market right now, and obviously also giving this market this patience and saying that I will wait for my probabilities to develop, because obviously right now we don't have enough information to make a sell biased trading decision. We don't have that information. We do have some higher time frame information warranting us to be sell bias, but structure on a 4-hour does not agree with that higher time frame directional bias. So we either do one of two things. We either trade the probabilities of a lower time frame bias, like for example me creating a bias of 4-hour structure or whatever the case is, or I wait for my 4-hour structure to align with the daily probabilities. Let price action on a 4-hour give me some sort of a sell bias structure. If I do that, I can always do one of two things. Either I can trade a lower time frame bias, find a bullish trading opportunity, find a bearish trading opportunity on a smaller time frame, or I can wait for my high time frame probabilities to align. So in this case, because I'm still kind of anti JPY code pair for now, I'm going to exercise. I'm going to choose the route of exercising a little bit of patience, and I think I'll wait for price action to come towards that high time frame resistance before I look for any bearish buy. I'm just coming to double check that the network is okay, because I can see that my phone is stalling a bit. Hopefully you guys are still cool. I see Mac did say that it was lagging from time to time, but hopefully it's a bit smooth now. Okay, so I do have a sell bias on AUD JPY, but I will be exercising patience either for price action to come to an area where I do have probabilities, or for the structure to completely change. Let's go on to some AU. We'll go up to the daily. Cool. So AU coming on AU on a daily time frame, daily. So looking at AU from a daily perspective, if we look at trend line wise, I guess we've broken structure, but just taking into account where we are within this overall structure. So what I just want to do, just to be safe, because on AUD, you guys know that AUD can be in some chop for the longest of time. It chooses to. So anyway, just looking at where price action is right now, I'm just going to be making my decisions based off the most recent price action, right? So looking at the most recent price action, what I do see is some resistance in this area over here. So I do have some extreme highs there. I do have a low over here. I do have a higher low. I do have a lower high, my mistake. I do have a nice equal low over here. You can also say this is a lower low because we did get a lower low in price. Then obviously after market gave this low, where's the next high to have been formed? Next high is in this area here. Where's the next low to have been formed? After this high, it's this low over here. So already from a daily, we can observe our major levels of structure. Important resistance, important support. There we go. Cool. So marking out that structure right now, we've got this resistance area up there just so that we realize where we are on a lower time frame. We also have this nice resistance trend line over there, obviously taking into account right now that we're in an uptrend. We want to see what kind of an uptrend we're in there, and then obviously we can connect our extreme resistance areas, giving us a nice resistance trend line as well. So obviously we've got a nice first touch in this area here, second touch, and you guys can see that price action is in and around that touch region right now. Where are we at this resistance? Where are we at this resistance trend line? It makes more sense for us to be sell biased than it does for us to be bullish biased, because high time frame, we're at resistance. We're at an area where the markets can react, where someone that's trading a daily time frame can decide to sell because price on a daily. We're at an area where there might be some high time frame sellers. So for me, it makes a lot more sense to be sell biased where price action is right now. If I want to be bullish biased, the only area that I do see for myself to be bullish biased is down at these support structures over here. So already we do know that if ever we want to have a bullish bias, or we do have a bullish bias, this is an area where we can look for that bullish bias trading, or for those bullish bias trading opportunities. Now that we've concluded that, let's just delete this. I'm so used to using a laptop. Now that I've got a keyboard in front of me, I don't know where's delete on the keyboard. I had to look for it for a second. But anyway, we've got our resistance trend line over here. We've obviously got the structure that we see on a smaller time frame, on a 4-hour. So what we can do is obviously isolate some important support on this 4-hour time frame. We can also isolate some important resistance areas. So we understand that, okay, price action is currently moving sideways in a way. We have our extreme resistance, we have our extreme support. We know that if we want to be sell biased from a higher time frame, we have to wait for price action to come towards a higher time frame resistance area. So obviously we do have this nice resistance area up there. So what we can be waiting for is for price action to come towards this resistance area over there. Obviously, if we violate this resistance and break above, we look for reversal structures above. If we do not find a reversal structure above, we sit on our hands. Guys, let me tell you guys about the entries that I take. I only take two types of entries. I only take a risk entry and I take reduced risk entries. I know that on my risk entry, I'm only going to look to execute to buy in a maximum of 2 regions for my risk entry. So obviously for my risk entry, I will only take 2 trades. I'll split my risk up only to take one of those 2 trades. Obviously, if both of those trading opportunities get stopped out, then I'm waiting for my reduced risk entries only. So I've got a process on how I'm obviously willing to take my risk. I know that me taking a trade is basically me saying I'm willing to risk $10 to find out if sellers are going to sell from where I decided to sell from. That's kind of what I'm saying. So I understand that that's my opportunity cost. I'm paying for the cost of that opportunity being there. That opportunity might be there, it might not be there, but what is the cost that I'm willing to pay? So I understand what that cost is. And obviously risk management, there is no process, there is no system, there's no strategy that can function long term without the element of risk management. So coming into things, we will only be looking for obviously, we will be looking for our risk entries above only if we find a nice reversal structure, because structure is still completely bullish, guys. Structure is still completely bullish. So obviously, we need to see that reversal structure for us to be able to take any sell bias trading opportunities on AU for now. Otherwise, if price action does give us some sell bias trading opportunity inside at the resistance of this range, or if once we break back below this range and then obviously come and correctively retest, then I will be looking for some bearish bias price action. So I know which direction I would like to trade based off a higher time frame. What I'm going to do is now wait for the 4-hour to align with that higher time frame bias, and that's about it. So obviously, yes guys, we are doing this analysis now. We're going through all of my pairs, so I'm going through on every pair. I will have a bias, or I won't have a bias, or I might choose to sit on my hands, whatever the case is. But on Monday morning, you guys know that we will get together and do the refined version of this analysis, where we kind of just look at what do we see for the week. So this is us looking at all of our pairs, going through all of our pairs, understanding where we are within the market, making decisions for next week. Then on Monday morning, when we redo our analysis, we prepare for the entire week and say that from all of my pairs, these are the pairs that are giving me, let's just say these are the pairs that are the closest to giving me entry criteria. So those pairs should be higher on my watch list. These are the pairs where my daily and my 4-hour are aligning. They're giving me trades in the same direction. Nice points of interest. Those are the pairs that are going to be higher on our watch list that we'll obviously refine our analysis to on Monday. So otherwise, let's go on to our Swiss yen. I think once we're done with Swiss yen, we'll be more than halfway with our analysis, and so we'll just I'll just hop over there to just see what you guys are saying there in the chats. So if you guys do have any questions, just write them down now while we're doing Swiss yen, and then obviously once we're done with Swiss yen, I'll come over and just check all the comments there. All the comments. Let's go up to a daily. So we'll go up to a higher time frame. Just look at the higher time frame structure. Let's just do this. Look at the extreme higher time frame structure. It's just as good as us maybe even looking at the weekly structure. That's how against my bias these JPY code pairs have been. But otherwise, we exercise patience. We've done it before. We've exercised patience before, and every time we exercise patience allows us to make a better decision, because now we have more information at our disposal to be able to make a decision. The same decision that I would have made now, I can make tomorrow with more information than I had today. So obviously, let's just see what we've got here on a higher time frame. We've got this nice uptrend, so obviously we support trend line to see what kind of an uptrend we've got going there. Then we obviously isolate our extreme resistance areas up there, just taking into account wherever we have some touches. You guys can see that we've completely exploded above this resistance area up there. So what am I doing? Since I want to be self-biased according to this whole structure that we've got there, I am exercising a lot of patience. So I don't even think I'm going to go down onto the 4-hour looking at Swiss yen, because I can see that Swiss yen is still inside of some chop in this area. I know that Swiss yen is in a chop in this area here on a 4-hour. So what we'll be doing is either waiting for this chop to develop into a structure that we can objectively see and make a good decision, a good trading decision. Obviously, we know we're trading with real money, so we don't just want to buy and sell anything with any criteria or in any condition. We want to wait for the stars to align, and the stars align not so often. So obviously it requires us to have patience and wait for the stars to align. So what we're going to do on a smaller time frame, like a 4-hour, like a 1-hour, whatever, we're going to be waiting for some structure to develop in this area, obviously, to see if it develops into structure that allows us to take a sell. Otherwise, we wait to see some sellers coming into the market. That momentum, if sellers are going to be there, they're going to be there no matter what, no matter how long it takes. If they're going to be there, they're going to be there, and we will see that they're there when we do see that sell biased momentum coming into the market. And if we do see any sell biased momentum, then obviously we look for those continuation structures, because our is sell biased. So Swiss yen, looks to me like the stream has stopped, guys. Looks to me like the stream has stopped. But hopefully we're good. Hopefully we're good. I think the network has returned. But otherwise, we were in Swiss yen. We just need to exercise some patience and wait for the structure to turn into some sell bias structure. So let me just see what's going on there in the chats. I see DJ Kikes is asking, what's good, DJ? What's good, DJ? What's good, DJ? He's saying, hey, T.Mayne, can you do gold? So I think Kaho also asked to do gold. So what I did say is that if we do have some time after we're done with the pairs that we do have, then we will go into some gold. So let's go back to yeah, so our AJ, we can also just make that a nice orange tag, because not much we're going to do on that pair as well. Let's go into our New Zealand dollar CAD and see what we've got going on here. So looking at the overall structure on a higher time frame, What we did do is, okay, it doesn't really matter whether we're looking at it from which perspective, but if we have a look at what's going on here, we can obviously see that there has been some momentum pushing this market to the upside. We know that New Zealand dollar CAD on a higher time frame is like in some sort of a sideways moving market. It's like some sort of a large higher time frame range or whatever, but we're not really interested in all this chop. What we're interested in are what structures is price developing within this sideways moving market, and that's how we've been making our decisions. That's how we're going to make our decision. So coming into things over here, what we do see is just taking into account our extreme support areas or extreme levels of structure. We've got price action obviously coming in from down low, so let's just look at this obviously as some momentum to the upside, because you can see price is taking a lot longer to move down than we did to move up. So obviously this is our momentum to the upside. So from this resistance area, what we do have there is some support structures over there. Where's the next high to have been formed after this? We have these highs over here. Where's the next low? We have these lows over here. Then obviously we have this lower high, we have a new lower low. So taking into account what extreme levels of structure we have there, we've got some resistance. We can isolate our resistance trend line considering that we're in some sort of a downtrend. Then obviously we want to see where our extreme support structures were. So coming into our structure, we've got this very awkward looking structure. We can see that we've got some sort of a breakout to the downside, but then obviously price action, and then we see that momentum even giving us a new higher high in this area over here. Obviously just this most recent price action. So coming into this most recent structure here on a daily, we've got this nice beautiful structure here. My heart is excited. My heart is very excited about the structure. Both of these CAD structures, like AUD CAD, New Zealand dollar CAD, my heart is excited about it. But I hope my excitement doesn't make me make a stupid decision and jump in too early, because it can happen. A corrective structure. Now we do understand that there's a nice technical analysis structure called an inverse head and shoulder, where this right shoulder we're expecting to terminate in this area, in and around this area where our left shoulder terminated. So somewhere in and around this area, this is where we're looking for the termination of that right shoulder. So already from a daily, we want to be bullish biased, because we do see that obviously momentum to the upside, we in a corrective structure, and we can also give us this nice right shoulder for this inverse head and shoulder structure. Now what I also wanted to do was just take into account this new support, or this most recent support structure over there. Now let's go down to the 4 hour, get those nice points of interest on where, if we can sell this market, where can we look to sell it? Where can we look to sell it? Now obviously we can see that this nice resistance area, this nice descending structure, corrective descending structure, we in a downtrend. Yes, it is a downtrend. As much as we're moving sideways, we do see price action giving us highs, lows, lower highs, and lower lows. As much as maybe, yes, we were looking at this as equal lows, it is a set of new lower lows, because we did create a new lower low. So obviously just isolating what structure we have there, we've got some resistance in this area over here, connecting our extreme resistance areas over there. We've got some support over here, so connecting our extreme support structures over here. Let me just do this for myself, just so that we don't blind ourselves with thousands of trend lines going. Jesus, it can be confusing. So yeah, we'll just do this. So now we've got a nice structure, guys. We've got a nice corrective structure. Obviously coming into the 4 hour, we want to find a nice point of interest. So what we do have is an area over here where we do see that momentum coming into the market. We see this nice beautiful bullish engulfing candlestick over here, giving us the origin of the momentum that was able to violate this resistance area over here, and as well as our previous higher structures over there that we did obviously violate to create this new higher high. So we can see that the origin of that momentum was in this area here. So if there was an optimal trading area, wait for the information. If there's not enough information for us to make a decision, we wait for that information to come onto the chart before we make that decision. Right now, where we see our probabilities aligning is in this area. The only thing that will allow us to adjust our bias or adjust anything else is if we see structures that develop, new information that comes into our chart that warrants us to maybe trade this same setup earlier, or maybe we adjust our bias. Maybe a momentum just comes straight into the market, pushes prices above, and now we have a previous resistance that we need to wait for price action to come and retest as support, or whatever the case is. We'll change our bias accordingly when we get new information. We will and can use this previous support as an area where we look for those retests once momentum pushes price action back above this previous support. So nice and simple for our bullish buy. Have a look at this beautiful structure, guys. For me, technical analysis, trading is like a form of. My heart feels so happy when I have such beautiful, such clean, such textbooks looking structure. Like I want to show the structure off. So can you guys please take screenshots of the structure now and make the structure your wallpapers, because this is art. Just joking, guys. Let's move on. Let's go on to some New Zealand dollar JPY, guys. Let's get into some New Zealand dollar JPY, guys. This art that we're doing here, this art can make you money. This art can make you money if you take it seriously enough and you read instead of imposing your own opinion. New Zealand dollar yen, another JPY code pair. I'm destroying things over here. Just looking at the high time frame structure, we've got our extreme supports there because we're in some sort of an uptrend. Now, obviously taking into account the extreme resistance, we've got some resistance over there, we've got some couple of highs over here. We can see where we are within the structure. We're at that resistance trend line, we're at that third touch, but we can see that prices have come here fairly impulsively. So in a lower time frame, I can guarantee you guys that New Zealand dollar yen is not doing anything nice inside of this area. So what we need to do is just exercise patience, wait for the price action to change and turn into some sell bias structure so that I can do something on this pair. But otherwise, because I want to sell this pair because of this high time frame structure, I can't do so right now because price action has been impulsive, and I need to exercise patience to wait for this 4 hour to give me some sell bias trading structure. So I do have a sell bias on this pair, but I'm going to put orange over there because it's another JPY code pair where I won't be doing anything, not making any decisions on there, because guys, I like to consider myself as a swing trader. Like, as much as you guys see me on the 1 minute chart and on the whatever, I like to trade according to higher time frame structure. I like to trade at higher time frame points of interest because that's where my probabilities are. Like, I come from a background of being primarily a swing trader. Like, when I was in a 9 to 5, I went into swing trading first, and I then adjusted as time went on down to I scaled my process down onto the smaller time frames. But I found a lot of success in swing trading. Like, that's like trading at high time frame points of interest is one part of my system that I don't think I'll ever let go or ever throw away or ever not do, because it's the reason why I'm in the space that I'm in today, is because it gave me an opportunity to trade while I was at work, to do something else, but still understand, watch it. There's enough time for me to watch the structures develop, for me to watch the analysis develop, to learn how these things are created, to learn, oh, this is how my reconnected successfully. I saw it actually disconnect for a couple of seconds there. So now that we're back, let's go into our US 30. Cool. So we're on the 4 hour, just looking at the high time frame on US 30. I guess we have the exact same structure that we've been looking at, this nice descending structure, some momentum pushing to the upside, and then obviously we had this ascending or expanding structure. We were kind of looking for, I'm sad that price action didn't react from this resistance over here, like straight from this resistance, I mean like below, without breaking above this resistance, because here price action was setting up beautifully. Like, there was this nice 3-touch structure, and yeah, that would have been a very nice trade. But otherwise, you can see that price had it there before seeing that sell bias went bullish. So maybe it makes sense for me to maybe be looking to align myself bullish more than bearish. So what I want to do is I just want to wait and see if price action does come to this support structure over here, because I want to be bullish on this pair. And obviously we can see that there's a lot of sell. Exercise some patience, come down to this support structure over here, obviously will do me a lot of justice. If I look at maybe whatever potential supports there I have there, I've got a low here, I've got another low there, and I can see that price action can come and terminate and give me a multi-touch structure, or whatever the case is, inside of this zone over here. So I might have probabilities in this area here for a bullish bias setup if price action does get to this point here. We will also have a nice beautiful set of equal lows where we'll be able to look for our reversal structures below these equal lows, and obviously if we don't find, obviously we wait for a corrective retest. So same structure that I'm looking for as usual, but except that now it's on US 30. All I'm going to be doing is waiting to see price action coming down low, this neckline over here, and then come back and give us a right shoulder before. But what I just want to do before I go into any of that kind of a bias, I just want to wait and see what Monday does. Like, when I get up at 9 o'clock and I start looking at the market at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, develop before I speak about this that we could be getting. So let's just wait with that bias, but we do have a bullish bias. Obviously, right now with the information that we've analyzed from a high time frame, this is an area where we can find our trading opportunities. So for US30, I will be nice and bullish bias, nice and bullish bias. Let's get into gold quickly because it's one requested pair. So yeah, I think we can even make that a habit. We can normalize that in our streams. We'll just do, obviously, aside from the pairs that I always do, we can do one extra pair, which is a pair that most of you guys request. So for today's session, I guess most of cool. I thought the network was killing us there, but it seems to be okay. Seems to be okay from the network on my phone. Let's do gold, XAU, USD, 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 USD. Maybe. Let's. Oops. What the hell?